Hello everyone, Randy here, and those are the parts of a John Deere 2510 hour meter. Probably fits other tractors too, by the way, but yes, there is the hour meter from the John Deere 2510. That came out of right there. Of course, we got the whole, I think the whole thing is called a tachometer, right? RPM and hours here. And here is our new gear. Hopefully you folks can see that there. Had that one 3D printed. So this is a 3D printed gear. We're going to see how that works. This is version 2 of the gear here already. The first one we printed, we tried, didn't quite work right. So this is version 2. We think we got it working. We're going to find out, stick it on here, and see if it'll actually work or not. It's kind of hard to tell, once you get it all together. Maybe we still don't have something quite right yet. Because again, we're pretty much just replicating the original. Yeah, we kind of have to, make some guesses to some extent as to what the actual size of the original is. Measure it the best we can and go from there. So anyway, I just finished washing this all up. I'm still kind of curious as to what caused the problem in the first place here, everyone. I don't know. Again, these gears were quite dirty. So it makes me think something kind of got bound up, maybe just being dirty. I don't know. Should be a sealed unit here. At least I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be sealed. So I'm not sure how dirt would really get in there. But again, it was quite dirty between these gears. In fact, you can still see it on some of these gears here. They are dirty. So this is quite the complicated setup here. This is obviously the driving gear here. And then between each one of these other gears, we got one of these metal things, which has, make sure I hold it right in the camera there, has a little gear on it as well. But this gear is special. If you look at one side, the one side has, if it'll focus, has 6 teeth. Again, you can only see 4 of them. The other 2 are behind the metal there. Now, if you flip it over to this side, same gear, but only 3 out of the 6 teeth actually protrude through the divider. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe you can see it a little better from that angle there. You can see how the one, if it'll focus, how the one tooth does not go through and the other one does. So 3 out of the 6 teeth go all the way through. So kind of interesting setup here. I don't quite maybe fully understand how this all works, but we're going to put it together and find out. Okay, everyone, we're going to start putting this together here. I just squirted out a couple blobs of grease there. I do have some special grease that is supposed to go for plastic with metal. For the life of me, I cannot find it, so I'm just using regular grease here. Should be fine. And we're just going to kind of coat everything with that. Like the inside of there. Make sure we get some nice grease inside there. We'll put some grease on the inside here because this is where our gear rides. Again, I'm not going to do much, just a little bit here. Don't want to get too carried away. And then the first piece, the rod that goes through there. Maybe just put a little bit of grease on there yet. Okay. And then this retaining ring. Might have to find a way to get that on here in a minute. Okay, and some very specific banging later. We got that on. It doesn't quite spin freely, but I don't think it has to, that I know of. Okay, and then with these metal pieces that go in between here, the 3-sided one is going to engage with this side of the gear. I'll drop one of those on there. And then we need the one that has the white and black stripes on it. And then this side of the indicator is going to mesh with that. And I suppose I should probably put some grease on there in a moment. Let me do that here. Get some grease on those gears there. Okay, everyone, there it is. And yes, I am going to probably try to set this at 0 hours. By the way, I figured, everyone, there's no sense in setting it what it was set to because it wasn't right. To my understanding, the hour meter on this tractor hasn't worked for a very, very long time. So what it said, nowhere close to being right. So I'm just going to start back at 0, everyone. That kind of makes sense to me, at least if I can get it set to 0 anyway. Again, the way these rotate, I might have to have, one of them rotated a certain way to get this in here, but we're going to attempt to get this in the gauge here. And yeah, this might be a bit fun here. Oh, that can't be. That was just like too easy. Too easy. Now the fun part, we got to get this clip on here though. Okay, believe it or not, it's in. And we got 0 hours on the tractor. Look at that. Now, the question is, will it work though? That is going to be the question. So I'm going to figure out some way of turning this. I know I can stick a screwdriver here and turn it this way. Oh, wrong way. Question is our hour meters turning? And I need a faster way of doing this because doing this by hand like this is, yeah, this is going to take a while. I need, so you can see if that gear's turning. I do believe it is, very slowly. Which would make sense, everyone. It is it worm gear? Worm gear to worm gear to worm gear? So that is ridiculously geared down, everyone, when you think about it. You'd like to see if I can hook this up to a drill somehow here a minute, everyone, and like give it a quick spin. Try not to wreck, the RPM part here, but what's interesting how this is done. If I'm not mistaken here, everyone, the RPM, it looks like it's on a set of magnets here. So the faster the magnet spins, the more grab power it has to this, I'm assuming. At least I'm assuming that's the way it works. Not entirely sure. Actually, that kind of looks like aluminum, so that wouldn't make sense with a magnet, would it? Anyway, right, that's right. There's some sort of device in there. I'm just guessing the faster it spins, the more it moves that spring-loaded needle, which is spring-loaded, by the way. So, like I said, everyone, let me see once if I can find something to turn this a minute. Okay, when I took this apart a little further yet here, my concern here is I think I got this working, but it might be stripped back here. If you can see, can I get in a view? That plastic gear back there might be stripped as well. It didn't seem like it was turning there, so yeah, another plastic gear running on metal there. All right, again, you'd think this turns, and actually it does turn fairly easy here. It turns actually quite easy, except when it gets to turning the number over, and then it kind of binds up for a second. So like I said, it turns pretty easy there. So that shouldn't be a problem, but like I said, I'm pretty sure this gear here, I don't think I can get this out very easily. Looks like it's a one-way installation there. They stuck it in and then they peened the metal over. So that's not designed to come back out very easily. Not to say we can't get it out, but not to come out very easily. So I'm going to try to do without it. We're going to put this back together here. Unfortunately, I might have messed up my spring-loaded doohickey here. This probably was highly calibrated, but I'll have to figure out what, because yeah, undoubtedly that would have to be in the right spot, right? Probably there, I guess. I don't know. We'll figure that part out later. Okay, everyone, got the at least the hour meter part back together here, and what I've come up with here, I just took a 12 gauge wire, the solid one, stripped the end of it off here. I got it chucked up in a drill here, and that kind of just sticks up inside there. And if we turn it here, let's see, can I get, hopefully you folks can see that. Really up the RPM here, But can you see that gear? Hopefully you folks can see that. That gear is turning there. Look at that. Might see it jump over here a minute, make sure that part's gonna work. Actually, no, before I go any further here, put a little more grease in there. I've been putting grease down on in this gear here. Make sure that's well greased. I'm going to put a little more on this one here as well. Just because grease on these plastic against metal gears seems like a really, really good idea. Put a little more on now that it's spun 180 degrees. Really spinning here now. I like to see, like I said, I like to see it jump over one here a minute, make sure this is working. Again, you can see that turns really slow. I'll try to get you folks a better view here in a minute, or maybe you can see that. See how slow the back shaft is turning, then the side shaft here, then of course up against, it's all worm gears. Oh, you can folks see it? It just turned over there. Hope I caught that on camera there. Did you folks see that? It just turned over. Now, of course, it's turning this one over because, again, keep in mind, by the time we work all the way across, I mean, if we're going at RPM, everyone, that is, 1,000 hours. And literally, you'd have to probably sit here and run this drill for, well, I don't know. I'm not sure how much faster this is turning compared to what the motor's turning this, but it's probably not altogether that much slower or faster. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that one, everyone. Now, trick is, can I get this all back together? I'm going to slather a little more grease on here. Oop, don't need that wood chip in there. Get some more grease on this gear here. Again, this is a 3D printed gear here, so not sure how long it's going to last. It might not work, but I figured, hey, it's worth a try. And as you folks may or may not know, it's not like this is the only 3D printed piece we got on this tractor, so why not put more, right? There we go. I think that looks pretty well greased. You can see I got a bunch of grease down in there. Really try to grease that one up a lot. Maybe, in fact, I'll even put a little more on that one there as well. Again, that's a metal gear behind there up against a plastic gear. So yeah, again, you got the input shaft here, which is worm geared to this shaft here, which is worm geared from here down to this shaft here. Hopefully folks are following along here. And then that is worm geared to this gear here. So that is a lot of reduction in gearage there. Okay, everyone, it's back together here. I think it is working. I might have messed up the RPM here a little bit. Actually, it seems to be returning back to zero here. I tweaked, oh, no, this time it didn't. I tweaked the spring a little bit more there. Yeah, I might have messed that up when I took it apart there, so I'm not entirely sure how to figure that out until I put it back together. So put it back together here, I guess, and we'll figure that out. I don't plan on putting this back on the tractor right away here because I want to get that whole dash out and put the oil pressure gauge in that dash. So it might be a couple videos here yet before I get this back actually in the tractor here and actually try it. I just went ahead and got a couple more of these desiccant packets here. I don't know if you noticed when I took it apart here, there was a desiccant packet tucked in there. I got a couple more there I'm going to stick in there. If you remember, everyone, when I took this apart, you could see there was moisture on that glass there, so I'm going to stick a couple new ones in there. I mean, probably from all the pressure washing and washing this tractor's gotten. I mean, I don't know. And then not to mention, it's yeah, who knows how old this gauge is. I'm sure it's the original one for the tractor, I would imagine. So anyway, I'm going to put this back together here in a minute. Hopefully I can crimp this edge back down. What I'll probably do, though, is I'll maybe only crimp it in a couple spots just in case I don't have this right with the RPMs. And that way, if I don't know, I can take it back apart and see if I can tweak it some more yet. But yeah, we'll get it back together here. Got to put all the giblets and guts back in it here, and see if we can get this glass piece that's laying underneath here. I probably should clean that glass piece too. Get that back on. And there we go, everyone. Back together, kind of clean the glass up as well. I think that looks pretty good. Look at that. No hours on it. Well, okay. It's got 0.3 of an hour. Anyway, I'm going to start working here now on pulling the rest of the dash off here. I think this whole piece, if I'm looking at it correctly, this whole black piece comes off. And we're hopefully... yeah, I guess we'll probably put it on this side. I don't see why not. Hopefully we're going to, if you see right back there where my finger's pointing, there's like a cutout area there for another gauge. Hopefully we're going to stick the oil pressure gauge in there. At least that's going to be my plan anyway. We'll see once if that works or not, but that's going to be what we're going to try to do. So we're going to get, probably have to take the rest of this stuff off, I think. That's how that comes out. Okay. That's an interesting bulb. Better be careful that bulb does still work yet. Uh-oh. Can't get it back. Oh, that popped out. Okay. Well, anyway, we'll get the camera set up here, and I'm going to start tearing this apart here. Okay, everyone, back up on the bench here and got the dash off. Also got the oil pressure gauge we put on off as well. Took that off. And let's see, once you got to remember that one right there. I should probably like mark this or something just so I make sure we know that one there is the one we want to put it in. Probably have to take this gauge off. And looking at this here, everyone, it looks like this is like a 2 1/8 inch hole. This is a 2 1/8 inch hole saw. It's supposed to be a 2-inch gauge though, which should be a 2-inch hole saw. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill it with a 2-inch. I'm going to try that anyway, and hopefully that'll fit. Worst case, we'll take the Dremel or something. We got to clear it out just a little bit. I don't want to drill it too big. That I think would be worse than drilling it too small. So I'll take that off here a minute. And just like that, everyone, we got a hole in the dash here. I did have to make it just a little bit larger here. I just took a flap disc and kind of sanded around the outside edge. It didn't take a whole lot, just a little bit there, and it fits in. And then I also had to grind just a little bit on the back side of the gauge here. I don't know if that was the greatest of ideas, but I ground just a little bit there because it's a little bit of a radius here. This gauge probably should have been a little bit further this way, but I drilled it where the knockout was. So, and you can see with these gauges here, it looks like they're designed to sit behind there, whereas this one has like a boss that's on top in front of it. So a little bit probably different gauge design. Then I'm not sure what gauge is supposed to go in here. I know if you get the power shift version of this tractor here, I believe it comes with a hydraulic temperature sensor or a transmission temperature sensor. And I don't remember what the other gauge was. There's two more gauges, the one that goes here and one that goes there. And I think that was both related to the power shift, if I recall correctly. So, and this tractor, of course, is the synchro range, so it doesn't have the power shift. But yeah, I think we'll call that pretty good. I'm probably gonna have to modify this bracket, I think. Looks like what they just do is they just nip that off there and it clamps that gauge in there. So I'm assuming I can do the same thing with this. I'm assuming, not sure. Maybe that will have to come up with something. Oh, I guess actually technically this gauge, I don't really need that either because this gauge, where did it go? Oh, I probably left it on the tractor yet. But this gauge has a piece that clamps it from behind, so I could use that too. And then of course got to get the wiring and all that stuff hooked up here as well. Okay, everyone, making progress here. I've got the oil pressure gauge mounted in here. That's what it looks like. Hopefully that is more or less straight up and down. And then I realized too, actually I have to use the hold down it comes with because this pulls the gauge in, whereas this pushes the gauge into the dash here. So what I ended up having to do, obviously it looked like that before. I cut those off, and then I realized also that I had to trim this side completely off of here because it's in the way of that bracket. So still got those two that hold that's the fuel gauge down, and then I just got one. It doesn't actually really do anything necessarily, but I think it helps balance this bracket, so you kind of have to have that on there. I might have to put a little bit of a spacer, stack something up in there to hold this up as well, because otherwise I'm afraid it's just going to kind of do that number. We'll see once here, but yeah, we got that part ready to go back together. And I think while I'm at it here too, I should probably put the that gauge back in here as well. And maybe actually, before maybe I do all this, maybe I should wash this. Well, it's not too bad, I guess. It's a little dirty. Might wash this out too here. Anyway, everyone, I think on that we're gonna wrap this video up here. Good bit of work there. I do have the new fuel sending unit. Let me get the right unit here, everyone. I got the new fuel sending unit here. So that's here. I can put that in the tractor here at some point as well. Unfortunately, I think the fuel tank is too full for that, though. I'm not entirely sure where the level's at, but I'm guessing it's higher than that. So I'm either going to have to drain some fuel out, or I wonder if there's other ways of getting fuel out of here. Maybe take it for a couple of spins. It is a diesel, though, everyone, so it does take a while to use fuel. And not to mention, I can't run it at the moment either because the oil pressure gauge is not on there. So we would just have oil squirting up out of there. Speaking of which, I'm going to have to reroute that as well, too, so it comes back up, be up in this area. Now, I'm not sure what this, there's all this plastic around here as well. I'm not sure what's up with that. Yeah, all plastic around. I'll pull that off and get rid of that, I guess. I don't know if the whole back of that gauge cluster was plastic covered at one time. I don't know, everyone. I thought that was kind of odd. Like, what's up with this plastic here? Is this whole covered? I don't know, everyone. Don't know. But, yeah, we'll get that off there. And actually, you know what? Maybe looking at this here, looking at this a little closer, maybe I'll wash this off before I put the gauge cluster back on. Again, that way I can get down in here better a little bit, too. Get this more cleaned up. That's really been trying to work on here, is getting this area cleaned up so I can see what is leaking in there, if it is continuing to leak or not. Obviously, if it continues to leak, then I want to fix that if we can. It doesn't seem like it is anymore, though. So I'm definitely happy with that, because if that's leaking in there, everyone, I really don't want to have to mess with that. That just does not look like any fun at all. At all. So like I said, everyone, we're going to wrap this video up. Comments or questions, be sure to leave them below. And as always, thanks for watching, and until next time.